My film, Key House Mirror, which takes place in the elderly home and is a love story, was inspired by my own story with my own grandmother, who I always promised would never have to move into an elderly home. But now she actually lives in an elderly home. She's 95, and you can say I broke the promise of not being able to keep her out away from an elderly home because she now really needs care. And because I broke this promise, I felt that it was a good motive or theme for making a film which is about a woman living in an elderly home who thinks that she's living on other conditions which she's actually living on. So she's living on a lie and trying to find love in her life. So it's a story that's very much inspired by real life things that have happened in my own life. I have a background in documentary filmmaking, so I'm very inspired about making scenes which are very much based on research. I both work with non-professional actors and very professional actors. In this film, the lead is played by Gita Nørby, who's a very famous Danish actress. And that was great, and it was great to combine her with non-professionals because it gives the scenes a certain energy, and you never really know what necessarily is going to happen, and especially with this film, where it's real people living in a real elderly home or people working in a real elderly home. It was a great challenge to combine a very skilled actress with a lot of real life going on, you can say. I was extremely happy when I got into film school because I don't have any parents that have ever done anything which was... They don't have an artistic background in what they do as a job. So I didn't think that one could ever be able to make movies. I thought you'd have to be rich or something like that. So when I actually got into film school because I made a documentary film, I was like so extremely happy because I thought now I have a chance, maybe just a little chance of making films for the rest of my life. And every day and for every film I make, I remind myself of this big joy it is to be able to make films, and you never know, but I just hope that I can continue making films because I literally don't know what else I should do. I and a lot of my friends in the Danish film business, for example, my good friend Tobias Lindholm, who I did my debut film with and has later done a film called Hijacking, we're very much inspired actually by the Dogma movement because it was a movement which liberated the cinema, at least in Denmark, in the way of working with actors, but also working with the real locations and so forth. So we don't really think that we're not afraid of the shadow of the dogma. Actually, we think we're standing on the shoulders of it and trying to do something which is a further development of it, but also something else. And again, I and many of my friends are really trying to use reality and have a very big inspiration in research and love documentary filmmaking. So I think that's more our tradition, you can say. First of all, one shouldn't believe everything that's on the internet. Second of all, I want to make sure I didn't write that. And third of all, when I read it, I thought, oh no, maybe I should delete it. But I didn't write it, so I thought, that's pretty cool, so I'm just going to leave it. But I don't even know if I believe in it myself. I mean, but I think on the other hand, you should strive for something. And I think film should not be about a competition. It should be about that you focus on the things that interest you and you follow your heart. So if nothing else, that's at least what I hope to be the best in, to be the best version of myself, at least. Well, if you want to make films or you start from scratch, it doesn't really matter how it looks, just as long as you can hear the sound. I think that's probably the first best idea. And then I think the second one is that one shouldn't worry so much about the technical side. It's much more about finding a moment of honesty. And whatever this honesty may be for one individual, that's something completely subjective. But I think that's what one should try to find. I mean, you can interview your grandmother, you can make a story about someone you dislike at your school, or you can break up with your real boyfriend and then try to film that. I think it's also very important to actually have the guts to use reality. And whatever cinematic things come out of that, I think is an important thing. And then also try to listen to other people. Don't get too stuck up in your own behind. So yeah, try to be open and use both your ears and eyes.